Hello Slicey Dicers, this is Brian with another video for you. This is not a full-on review because there are a lot of reviews of this knife. You're looking at the Spyderco Native 5 lightweight. It's been out for quite some time and there have been a lot of reviews of it that have fully covered everything about it. But I want to explain to you why a guy who has entirely too many knives, why I have this one. Why this is in my collection. I think that'll be an interesting way to look at it because I love this thing. And I wanted to do a video about it, and I was trying to figure out what would be interesting to talk about. So I'm going to talk about why I got this. So we're going to put it aside for a moment. Here are the two knives that inspired me to get this. This is my Manix 2 lightweight, which I've said several times. I love to tiny little pieces. I use it all the time. Probably gets more extreme use than anything else that I have for hacking cardboard and all that kind of stuff. And something that often just resides in the fifth pocket of my jeans when I'm just out and about, a Delica 4. I wish it was the full flat ground Delica 4, but it is not. So I thought about getting a full flat ground Delica 4. I thought about that a lot. But then I thought, you know, the ergonomics of this just aren't that awesome for me. I have really long fingers. They're skinny, long, weird fingers. And I'm wrapped all the way around. And I just kept thinking about, God, my Manix 2, the ergonomics are just freaking perfect. I love the ergonomics of the Manix 2. No matter where I grab it, it's just great. It's just really, really, really good. But it's big. It's a big knife. And I thought, I want something kind of in between. Well, luckily, and I knew this, but look, Spyderco makes something in between. Native 5 lightweight. It's totally in between. That's almost exactly what it is. It's kind of between the two. Different, you know, it's got the lockback like the Delica 4. Doesn't have the ball bearing lock, which I do love that. That sometimes I miss, but not in another way I'll get to in a moment. But it fits in that fifth pocket perfectly, just as good as the Delica 4 does. And it's got a blade shape more slightly akin. It's a better slicer than this by a long margin. Not as good as this, but close. And the ergonomics are close. Not the same. I mean, when you choke back, yeah, there's your pinky's hard, but I hardly ever use it like that. I'm mostly always holding it like this. So ergonomically, it's still really good. I don't mind the lockback. One of the things I like about the lockback, I alluded to a second ago, is that knife that resides in that pocket all the time, the one that you're carrying a lot, you often wind up handing to friends because you're the guy who's got the knife and nobody else does when they need one, and you hand one to them. And I don't like to have to explain how a knife works or worry about them cutting their fingers because they don't understand how the knife works and giving me crap about it. This is dead ass simple. I mean, the lockback, people have seen those before. You don't have to explain anything. They're going to open it two-handed like this with a Spidey hole, but still it's something to grab a hold of. They don't know. You know, they don't know that you can flick it and be cool, which I just didn't do. And, you know, that's one thing I just demonstrated accidentally. The Manix 2 is much more fun to play with. The Delicas and all the lockback Spydercos, they're not as much fun to play with. Why can't I do that today? There we go. They're not as much fun to play with, no, but they're still cool. It's still a really high-quality thing. You can tell they're still really smooth and stuff. And I, as you can see by the two that I showed you, I do like the FRN. I didn't when I first got into Spydercos. Not a bit. That's actually, I avoided Spyderco for a while because I didn't like the look of the FRN. I thought it looked like cheap plastic. And it's not cheap plastic. It's fancy plastic, though. It's not. It's FRN, fiber reinforced nylon, fancy plastic is basically what it is. But yeah, it's great. 2.5 ounces. It's super freaking light. It disappears in your pocket. I leave this in my fifth pocket so much that I know one day this is going through a washing machine. I just know it. My wife's going to get up someday and be nice and grab my clothes and throw them in the wash, and she's not going to notice it, and it's going to get washed, but that's fine. It's a Spyderco. It's high quality. It'll survive, I'm sure, that horrible, fateful day. Another reason why I got it is just the freaking value of this thing. S35 VN steel, guys, for 86 bucks right now is what they're going for on a couple different sites. Blade HQ and Knife Center have about almost exactly the same price. Great steal for that price. If you look around now, I spent some time looking for like the cheapest S35 VN folding knives I could find. There's like $1 slip joint thing and some low-end Kaisers, and this still 5 years after it came out, 4 years after it came out, whatever it is. I think it's 5. Anywho, still all that time later, still one of the cheapest knives you can get, an S35VM, which is an amazing steel. This is a just forget about it steel. This is, I'm gonna have to sharpen it someday, but I carry this a whole lot. I haven't used it for any really heavy stuff. When I get to heavy stuff, I beat up my Manix 2 or my Ontario Rat 1 or something like that. But just for daily stuff, I've been using it a whole lot, and it's still super, super, super sharp. Let's grab some, do I have some paper here? Reachable? Let's see what we got. Here's one. It's under my computer. Hold on. Sorry about the noise there. But yeah, still really good. And it's a Golden, Colorado made Spyderco for 86 bucks. You know it's good quality. Yeah, that's why I got it. Was basically value, and it fit a specific purpose. It's not the most glamorous of Spydercos. I almost got a pair of 3, but again, I was going to explain to people how to use it if I had to hand it to them. It's a little heavier, and I didn't like the way that the pair of 3 carries. There's so much stuff sticking out. This isn't that low. This is probably one of the downsides to this. I did find an aftermarket pocket clip for it that I have on the way, but from MXG Gear, but it does have the Tenacious style pocket clip, so it does ride fairly high. And if you want to get one that rides lower, there's only MXG Gear is pretty much it, or weird places that are going to take 3 months to get you a clip. So yeah, that's one downside to it, but it fits in my 5th pocket so well. I bet when I put that aftermarket, when I put the MXG Gear clip on it, it's still gonna, it bottoms out in my pocket right about the same time it hits that right now in that 5th pocket. So it fits a very good hole that I needed filled more than I thought I did. And yeah, I really, really like it. Ergonomically, it's great. I like it better than the Delica ergonomically. I like it aesthetically better than the Delica. The Delica looks, I don't know why, I just think that looks more weapony than this does. And again, this is something I just carry around all the time. I don't want it to look super weapony. I think this looks like a tool. I still kind of think the Delica looks like a weapon. That's kind of, your own personal choice, but really like the Native 5. Very glad I have it. Carry it even more than I thought I would when I got it on sort of an impulse. I was at a local knife shop. I'm former military. I mentioned that. They gave me a military discount, so it wound up being about the same price it would have been online, so I just grabbed it. So I'm very happy with it, and I think you guys will be too if you get it. It's not the most loved Spyderco. I mean, there's a million different versions of it. I know a lot of people really like it, but I do see it catches some crap online, which I think is undeserved. It's a great, great knife. So I highly recommend it if you want something to fill that same hole that I just talked about. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I've been Brian. Have a good day, everybody.